In today's video, we'll look at what types of variables are compatible with the calculation of the mean. But before we start, let's have a quick recap of what the mean is. So how do we calculate a sample mean? So let's say we have this particular data set. So we have 3, 5, 5, 7, and 10. Okay? So the sample mean is just the average that you use to calculating. So you just add up all of those values. So you have 3 plus 5 plus 5 plus 7 plus 10. So that's 30 divided by the number of observations you have. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5, 30 divided by 5, you get 6. Okay? So that's your sample mean. Now, for which type of variable can you use the sample mean? Well, let's think about, first of all, what types of variables there are. So if you remember in a previous video, we saw that there are interval variables, so something like height or income. So where there's a unit of measurement that is very clear. You have ordinal variables when there's an ordering between the different values, but there's no unit of measurement. So, for example, if we look at your satisfaction, you can go from not satisfied at all to very satisfied, but there's no real unit of measurement for satisfaction. So that would be an ordinal variable. And the last one is a categorical variable, okay, when there's no ordering at all. So for example, if you have a variable that codes the religion of a participant, well, there's no intrinsic ordering to the different religions. So that would be a categorical variable. So what types of variable can we calculate the sample mean with? Well, so let's say that we have a categorical variable. Okay. So let's say, for example, that it's religion. Okay. And very often, what you'll see is that religion will be coded according to something like this. So, for example, 1 could be coded as Catholic, 2 would be Protestant, 3 would be, let's say, Muslim, etc. Okay, and let's say for the sake of argument that we have only, well, let's add atheist or other. Actually, let's just do other. Okay, so this is my categorical variable. Now, let's see whether we could calculate the sample mean with that categorical variable. So if your variable has been coded like this, when you open your data set, you'll only see those numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say that my data set is 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. So now, how would you calculate the mean? Do you think you could just add up those numbers? So that would be 11, and then divide by the number of observations, so 5. Would that be a possibility? Well, if you think about it, it cannot be done because those numbers are purely arbitrary. There's no reason why we assigned 1 to Catholic and 2 to Protestant, 3 to Muslim, and 4 to others. I could have chosen instead to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so given that I could pick and any value, and not even 1, 2, 3, 4, it could have been 10, 17, 92, 83. So given that this is entirely arbitrary, it does not make sense to use the sample mean for categorical variables, okay? So for categorical variables, we cannot use the sample mean. Now, what about for ordinal variables? Well, for ordinal variables, so very often, let's say, when we measure, let's say, satisfaction or agreement very often, okay? To what extent do you agree with the following statement? And very often it's coded same thing, 1 to 5, for example. 1 is don't agree at all. 2 might be don't agree. 3 would be agree. And 4 would be fully agree. Now here, you might be tempted to calculate the mean with that ordinal variable and say the values are the same in the same fashion as what we did earlier. But there again, even though now the ordering does matter, the exact values actually are arbitrary. Okay, so instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, I could have picked, let's say 3, 7, 12, and 32. Okay, because we're not arguing that there's any unit of measurement. And given that I can pick different values, that means that I cannot calculate a sample mean for that type of variable. Okay, so for ordinal variables, similarly, we cannot use the sample mean. Okay, now for interval variables, like height or income measured in pounds, there we can do that. Okay, and that's what we saw just earlier. So if we look at, let's say, some data sets, so let's say you have 30,000, let's say those are incomes, 50,000, 70,000, and then you have 75,000. You have the different observations of people earning different values. Then you could calculate the mean. Okay, you just add them up, divide by the number of observations. Okay, so the only type of variables that you can use would be interval variables. Okay, so categorical variables, no. Ordinal variables, no. Interval variables, yes, when calculating the sample mean. So that's it for today's video. And in the next video, we'll look at what types of variables can be used to calculate the median.